This is Duke University.
We're thrilled to be here to talk about our Arctic Boundaries Working Group. We're a relatively new group. We just started in October, and we're pretty small right now. But we're thrilled to be able to tell you about what we've done already and our plans to what we're hoping this group will do. All right, so like I said, we're a small group. I'm Casey Bierlich, first-year PhD student in marine science and conservation. We have Greg with us here today, also first-year PhD student in marine science and conservation. We're both in Dr. Dave Johnson's lab at the Marine Lab, so if you've seen any drones in the media, we're in that lab. We also have Megan Naskovitz, who's a second-year MEM student, the Master's in Environmental Management track, and Ginny Crothers, who is at the Marine Lab right now, and she's also a second-year master's student. And they're both focusing on the coastal track. And so we're a small group right now, but we're hoping to kind of get a solid foundation and then move forward and invite more students to join our group.
So we formed this working group because we were aware that there were a number of students and faculty here at Duke who work in Arctic settings, but there isn't a lot of crosstalk between groups, and we didn't really see an infrastructure for students who wanted to get involved and didn't already have experience in the Arctic. So as a working group, our goal is to develop and kind of provide this infrastructure for students to come to us and maybe come up with a project or bring a project to us, and we can provide support with our contacts and hopefully by then expertise in the area. A couple of us have already done some work in Alaska, and right now, as we'll share, we're making some inroads in Iceland. So we're hoping to develop these contacts and have a network of people, have a network of local contacts on the ground in these locations who can let us know what the scene is like out there. We'd like to find opportunities for research, but we're also being very careful not to step on anybody's toes, because especially in marine mammal world, some people can be a little possessive about their data. And then right now, we're specifically trying to develop our own pilot project for the working group, so we can, learn what it's actually like to do this, to develop contacts from scratch and find our own data.
So when we were talking about the Arctic, a common interest was Iceland. Several of us have been to Iceland and we fell in love with the country, but we also know that the country is experiencing a lot of changes with tourism growth and just in the ecosystem in general. And Ginny and Megan actually were just at the Arctic Circle conference a couple months ago, so they were able to network and get brainstorm some ideas. So if we had put up a graph here, so there's a lot of development happening in Iceland right now, from tourism, shipping, and fishing. And hopefully you can see the bar graphs, but each bar represents a month of each year, and so we have the years from 2010 to 2016. And pretty obvious trend, the number of passengers that are visiting Iceland has increased each year. And what's also really important from this graph is it's not just increasing tourism in the summer months, it's also in the winter months. So tourism in general is just increasing in Iceland all year round. So, and you can imagine that some of this change is a result of climate change, right? So Iceland is changing a lot. The temperatures are changing, the ecosystem is changing. So this is also allowing more tourism to thrive in these areas and people to visit all year round. But there's also a lot of ecosystem implications that are as a result of that. So we are interested in the possible marine the possible consequences of this surge and development in the marine ecosystem.
And here I just took this off of Google Earth. You can make these really neat time lapses, and this is a 27-year time lapse of a small town in North Iceland called Húsavík, and it's a very popular destination for whale watching tourism. And you can see, especially in the 2000s, there's a lot of development around the coastline with the new harbor, especially. So all that construction and increased traffic, boat traffic, and just human tourism there on the water is almost certainly going to be having an impact on the marine megafauna in the region.
So we've already made a couple of contacts. Yesterday we had a great Skype meeting with Marianne Rasmussen. She's the director of the University of Iceland's Research Center in Húsavík. And so we were able to talk about our interests and see where they align, and see if there's a surplus in data that we can help out in any projects that are going on and help contribute to this research community. We've also reached out to Charla. She's a PhD student at the University of Iceland, and it turns out that her advisor is actually Marianne. And so we're going to be working closely with them with our project. And we've also been put in touch with the Nordic Center of Excellence, their ArcPath program, and the Joint Nordic Initiative on Arctic Research. And these two projects basically are calling all researchers to come together with their different Arctic research studies and look at the changes in tourism, look at these changes that are happening, and come up with potential solutions so we can put conservation management strategies in place where needed and also have sustainable development with the rise in tourism.
So one of the projects that Mariana thought that would be suitable for our working group was involving some observational data they've collected on blue whales and white-beaked dolphins around Iceland. She said they've seen over the past 15 years a general westward trend in the habitat. These animals are no longer where they were historically, and they're starting to move. And so she does a lot of hydroacoustic data processing, but she said that she has some satellite imagery that she'd really like to take a look at, and she has no experience with that herself. Fortunately, 3 of us in the working group have just finished a class on satellite remote sensing over at the Nick School, so we've offered to take a look at some of these images. She's given us some coordinates, and we're going to see what's available from the U.S. government archives and try to supplement her observational data with satellite imagery.
And some particular variables we're interested in that we can get from satellite imagery is sea surface temperature. We know that temperatures have increased around Iceland, so we want to see if this has had any impact on the species distribution. With increasing sea surface temperature, you're going to have decreasing sea ice. That could also have a lot of impacts on the different marine species there. And then chlorophyll content. We can also get chlorophyll content from satellite imagery. And chlorophyll content basically is indicators of primary productivity. So if there's a lot of chlorophyll, you'll imagine that there'd be a lot more higher trophic species such as whales and dolphins. So if we can see that there's some sort of shift in chlorophyll, it might explain some of these habitat shifts we're seeing with the different species distribution data we have.
So a few of the things that we're bringing to the table with this collaboration, as I mentioned, we have satellite remote sensing skills still in development, but they're coming along. And Casey and I are very well situated with the Duke's Marine Geospatial Ecology Lab. We're based there this year, and they work very closely with our faculty advisors at the Duke Marine Lab. So we have access to some of the world's best experts on marine geospatial ecology. We are planning to use Google Earth Engine for our collaborative analysis. And this is a free tool that Google's developed recently that's kind of on the cutting edge of satellite remote sensing analysis. And this will let us share both our data and the code that we're using to analyze it with our collaborators over in Iceland and in the other Nordic countries. And yeah, we're hoping to put this all together with their observation records, and hopefully within the next year, if we can complete our analysis, get a publication, maybe present at conferences. So. And yeah, thanks to all you guys for the support that you've given us in getting this started.
I appreciate it.